I cut off my uncle after he tried to take over the family shop. When I was 16, my grandmother suddenly sold a piece of land she'd owned forever. We didn't know how much it was worth until things started changing fast. She fixed up her house, paid off loans we didn't even know existed, and quietly helped a few relatives who were struggling. My mom didn't take anything, but my uncle did. He'd always been the business-minded one, at least according to himself. Around that time, my grandmother let him start using the small storefront attached to her house. It had been empty for years. He moved in quick, brought some shelves, and said he was starting a convenience shop. He didn't pay rent. He said family shouldn't charge family. At first, it seemed fine. The shop made enough to cover itself, and my grandmother liked having someone around. My uncle's daughter, who was about 10 at the time, stayed there on weekends. Everyone treated it like a temporary setup, something he'd use to get back on his feet. I didn't question it. I was a kid. When I was 22, my grandmother got sick. Not the kind of sick you recover from. She called a family meeting and went over everything. The house and the shop property were being left to me because I'd been living with her and helping take care of things. My mom was okay with it. My uncle was quiet the entire time. My grandmother looked him in the eye and said the shop space was mine after she passed, but he could keep running his business. There for a while, as long as he started planning his exit, she was clear. No confusion, no loopholes. She passed away 8 months later. I didn't rush anything. I kept my job, kept paying property taxes, utilities, repairs. I even covered the electricity for the shop because it was on the same meter. My uncle kept all his profits. He'd complain about costs, but he never once offered to contribute. Years went by, his shop never expanded. He never looked for another location. He just settled in. Things only got tense when he started acting like the place was his. He'd repaint without asking, install new signage. One time I came home to find he'd put a lock on the back door that only he had a key to. When I asked about it, he laughed and said it was for security, and that I didn't really need access anyway. The final straw came when I overheard him talking to a supplier. He said he owned the building and was thinking of expanding. I confronted him that night. He brushed me off and said Grandma would have wanted him to have it, that she just didn't want to hurt my feelings by saying so directly. That was a lie, and we both knew it. I told him he had 60 days to move his shop out. He laughed and said I wouldn't dare. So I had a lawyer send a formal notice. He exploded, called me ungrateful, said I was stealing his livelihood. His ex-wife called me crying about how their daughter loved the shop and how cruel I was for taking it away. I felt awful for about a day. Then I remembered years of free rent, free utilities, and broken promises. He moved out in under a month. Now the shop space is empty. I'm planning to renovate it into something new. My uncle doesn't speak to me anymore. Some relatives think I went too far, but every time I unlock that door, I remember my grandmother sitting at the table, calmly explaining her wishes, making sure there would be no confusion. I didn't take anything that wasn't already mine.